the writer and commentator for African Affairs. Joseph, thank you for your company. Demonstrators appear now to be calling for William Ruto to step down, for him to resign. Do you think after he has already made one U-turn over his finance bill, he's been left in a weakened position?
He is substantially weakened, but it's possibly a difficult call for him to resign. But in any case, they had been calling for him to resign earlier anyway. I think he really bungled this on the day when the tragic deaths did occur. He came out fighting. He came out daring the demonstrators. He came out actually daring Kenyans. He came out claiming the people who were demonstrating were effectively criminals. Somehow, the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, came out, the statesman, calling for calm, calling for common sense to prevail between two parties. And on that day, I'm sure the president didn't really sleep very well. But yesterday, he came out like a genuine president, a real statesman. Possibly, therefore, not surprising that there's an element of split between the demonstrators, because in a way, other than possibly even meeting their demands, yesterday's presentation was that of a president who actually acknowledged that something had gone wrong, and he was calling back Kenyans together. So from that perspective, I think he clawed back a semblance of credibility. But in any case, people are asking, if you could make the massive U-turn as he did yesterday, what was he thinking the day before? What was he thinking weeks before? Yeah. And so for that reason, many of the adamant demonstrators today are simply saying they can't trust this guy at all. I think in a way, that is really more about the challenge. Trust.
I mean, the original protests were about the proposed tax hikes. Those have now been dropped. But demonstrators are saying they want to rid this administration of corruption. How big a problem is that in Kenya?
It's a huge problem. It's a huge problem on this continent. It's a huge problem in this region. In a way, perhaps he seems to also have conceded on that. When he came out to talk about austerity, and he presented it from a perspective where he was giving instructions that there would be a review of spends in cabinet, and spends in his executive office, spends in the parliament, spends in the judiciary, and actually instructing that renovation fee, that was due to be taking place in State House, should be suspended. That is, if you like, a nuance suggesting that actually the majority of the political elite in Kenya, as by and large across this continent, seem to have lost it onto the ordinary people. Remember, Ruto came into power presenting himself as the hustler candidate at the time, picking a terminology that his then opponent, Raila Odinga, had used for a long time. And he used it successfully. It sort of clicked with the majority of young people who, by and large, notwithstanding the challenges about his election results, as it were, many young people genuinely voted for him. Looking at it beyond that in the last couple of years, he's presented himself as the president out of touch. So genuinely, looking at the budgetary reforms as suggested, it was almost clearly the case that, look, ask the ordinary Kenyan to bring money from wherever they are as a matter of tax levy to fund your luxury, to fund some of your dubious spends, in this case, effectively, corruption. So, in a way, it's rather difficult to, at the moment, say that, look, we are a changed lot that are actually going to make sure that we're going to be open and transparent. But in any case, I think the next few days is going to determine which way this goes. One, as an issue, but two, particularly the question of corruption. And indeed, as you asked earlier, whether or not the president stays. But one extraordinary thing is the fact that the president and his vice president are not speaking the same language anymore. That I did not see coming this far.
Yeah.
Joseph,
this fast. A whole host of issues for the Kenyan government. We thank you very much indeed for your analysis. Joseph Ochieno there joining us from Kampala.